Hi everyone, welcome back to Practical Peptides. My name is Erin Macfarland. I'm a NASM certified personal trainer and an immune-centric health coach. Today I'm going to make a short video. These shorter videos seem to be very helpful as far as just keeping people's attention and staying focused about different types of peptides. And we're going to cover a couple of different well-known or more popular types of peptides, classes of peptides, and just go into a little more detail about how they work, why they're so effective. Again, this is not to be used as medical advice. I'm not a doctor. These videos are just strictly for educational purposes, informational purposes. My goal is to really help people who are just coming to learn about peptides or want to understand peptides, understand them in a really accessible way, in a way that can help them make more informed choices when this is the type of therapy that they're considering for whatever reason. I will include my information in the description below if you're interested in doing some health coaching. So that being said, let's get started, and we're going to talk about two of the more prominent types of peptides. So when I say class of peptides, what I'm referring to is there's peptides pretty much for everything. The saying is there's a peptide for that when it comes to finding options to treat different concerns, different imbalances. So a lot of people, again, I've mentioned it in all of my previous videos because it is so well known, and people are really becoming interested in peptides based on the fact that Ozempic, which is a pharmaceutical drug, which the peptide that Ozempic is derived from is called semaglutide. People are becoming more familiar with peptides as a very viable option for treating things like diabetes, promoting weight loss, lowering inflammation. So starting with something like Ozempic or semaglutide, that peptide comes from, and you can go back and watch my previous video about sort of how peptides are labeled or regulated. They have a previous video about that. So when we talk about semaglutide, Ozempic, they're both basically the same thing. Again, Ozempic is just a modified version of semaglutide. They are from the class of peptides what are called GLP-1 agonists. What that stands for is glucagon-like peptide, and that sounds very sciencey. And I try to really break these things down for people so that they really understand them in a way that makes sense and they have context, because I find that people stay much more engaged and interested in something, and there's more longevity when people have that information in a way that resonates with them. So when I use these terms, I'm going to do my best just to explain them in very simple ways, easier to understand ways, so that it's a little less intimidating when you're researching and you're reading about these different treatments. So glucagon, again, GLP-1 is glucagon-like peptide. Glucagon is part of the insulin family of hormones. So a lot of people don't know, insulin is a peptide. It's been around for a long time. Peptides in general have a very strong history as far as research, development, safety, and glucagon plays the role of helping regulate our hunger signals. So people are taking Ozempic and semaglutide to lower their hunger signals, to mitigate their perception of their hunger, therefore lowering their appetite, therefore they eat less and tend to lose weight. And also glucagon is what's called an incretin hormone. It interacts or interfaces with your gut and the rate at which you digest food. So one of the side effects of a GLP-1 agonist like Ozempic or semaglutide is It slows your rate of digestion, so sometimes people can get nauseous because your food is taking longer to digest. But that peptide in particular, and there are some others that are coming into utilization, like Wegovy, Mounjaro, they are all in that family, that class of peptides. So within that class, all of those peptides are going to have similar effects. So they are going to work, they're going to work in a similar way, but some of them will have more pronounced effects versus a more generalized effect. So when you're talking about Mounjaro is a GLP-1 agonist, but it also works on the GIP receptors. So it has sort of more of a dual mechanism and can maybe be more effective than just semaglutide. And so when you're looking at these different options, you have this class of peptides, and within that class, you have different structures of amino acids. And again, you can go back and watch my previous videos about what are peptides. They're strings of amino acids. Some are just a variant of one amino acid, and then that changes the outcome or the effect of that peptide just ever so slightly to have a slightly different effect. But within that class of peptides, they all work similarly, and they're all going to have similar effects. So all GLP-1 agonist peptides are going to affect your hunger. They're going to typically improve your cardiometabolic health, your insulin sensitivity, but they all will have slightly different ways that they work and slightly different outcomes. Another class of peptides that is becoming really more heavily utilized are growth hormone peptides. So growth hormone peptides are very different than just taking growth hormone. When you inject growth hormone, just straight synthetic growth hormone into your body is going to downregulate, or it's going to lower its production, its own production of growth hormone in response to injecting that growth hormone. So over time, you stop making less growth hormone, which is bad. It affects the sensitivity of your cell receptors, so it can really disrupt your body's natural homeostasis, your body's natural balance. Even though short term, you will probably see some improvements in how you feel, in your growth hormone levels, in the different types of things that growth hormone treats. In the long term, you are going to have a negative effect on your body as a whole as a result of injecting the growth hormone, because your body is stopping its own production, and we don't want that. So growth hormone peptides work very differently, and like I explained, you can kind of go back and watch my other videos for a little bit more of a in-depth look at how peptides work, but essentially they get your body to produce more of its own growth hormone over time. This is done slowly. So when you inject growth hormone, for example, you're going to get a rush of growth hormone, and it's going to sort of flood your system. And so it's going to have a much more acute effect, short-term effect, versus a growth hormone peptide, which when you follow the protocol, which every type of peptide, every class of peptide has a different protocol, a different cycling schedule, a different dosage. Everything is different for every type of peptide. This is why it's really important to familiarize yourself with all of these different aspects of utilizing peptides, because there is so much to know when it comes to understanding the safety, the dosage, how to cycle them, because it's in cycling them that we retain our body's own production of whatever it is that we are targeting. So in the case of growth hormones, it's really important to follow the dosing schedule and to cycle them correctly, because that's how we maintain our body's sensitivity to and production of our own growth hormone, which we don't want to affect long term. So when you administer a growth hormone peptide, you are getting your body, as I said, to slowly increase the production of its own growth hormone. And with that comes an upregulation of all of the auxiliary or the surrounding systems that are involved in growth hormone production, distribution, utilization, because growth hormone affects a lot of different systems in our bodies. That's why people tend to feel really good. In general, growth hormone peptides give you more energy. They increase your libido. They improve your sleep. They are beneficial for your hair and your skin, and even are neuroprotective, so they are beneficial to your brain health. They help, people really like them because they help build and retain muscle mass and decrease fat mass. So they have a lot of really beneficial functions. And if that is done correctly, if growth hormone peptides are utilized correctly, you can utilize them really indefinitely, is what the safety data is saying, as long as you are implementing that cycling, because then it's going to maintain your body's own production while simultaneously, in a safe and balanced way, increase what it is producing. And then all of the other processes that are involved in upregulating growth hormone, because you can understand that when you have a very significant decrease in something like a hormone, your body isn't always used to, when it starts to increase the production, it then needs to adjust to being able to process it, transmit it, all of the signaling that's involved with that increase. So it's important. It's sort of like, as a trainer, I like to use the analogy of you build a muscle, right? So maybe you strengthen your bicep muscle, but you also simultaneously have to strengthen and improve the function of the tendons and the joints and the vasculature, right? The energy delivery to that muscle, because all of those components support the functioning of that muscle. So this is why growth hormone peptides are superior in many ways to just taking growth hormone, because they will create balance and homeostasis and recruit all of those different systems that are involved in its production, distribution, utilization. So hopefully that helps answer a couple questions about those two classes of peptides. And I speak about those initially because they are, they're really kind of the most well-known right now, like in the, just people talking about starting to use peptides. People are hearing about them because of Ozempic specifically. So just to clarify that we have these different body systems, there are peptides that target those different body systems, and within those classes, those groups of peptides, we have peptides that are then more specific to different outcomes. So just as a tangent there with the growth hormone peptide, there are growth hormone peptides that are more general in their effects, and there are growth hormone peptides that are more targeted for fat loss, but they will simultaneously still, even those more specific growth hormone peptides will still have benefits across all of different systems that growth hormone works on. So thanks for tuning in. I'm gonna keep going on this subject and talk a little bit more about some more classes of peptides in my upcoming videos. So again, please like, subscribe, share, leave questions, leave comments. I love hearing feedback, and I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.